Okay, we're gonna make a paste first of all, and I want some garlic. I'm just gonna pop the skins off those. And you don't have to be too fussy here because I'm gonna strain the broth. So just take the kind of big chunks of skin off. I wanna try and have this done in like 45 minutes from start to finish. So we don't need to be all fine dining here. Now, some coriander roots. And those of you who have been watching my channel for a while will know this paste by now. You should know it. It's a very classic Thai paste called samgler, and we use it as a base for like, you know, noodle soups, stir fries, curry pastes. And a lot of you have said that you can't get coriander bunches with the root end. That's okay, just use as much of the stem as you can. And I want some peppercorns and a little pinch of salt. All right, rough paste is what we're going for here. So once everything looks a little bit like this, then we're good to go. Just gonna heat up a little bit of oil in my pot here and add in that paste. It's such a wonderful, comforting smell for me. Reminds me of my childhood, my Thai mum cooking whatever it is that she's cooking in the kitchen. Always that garlic and coriander pepper smell. Instantly like a nice big hug. Now I'm going to add some chicken in here, and I'm using drumsticks because they're super cheap. I often have them in the freezer as well, and they do have a lot of flavour that's going to go into our soup as well. Now the idea here is that we're building up layer upon layer of flavour. Just because we're doing things quickly doesn't mean we can't do them, you know, nicely or the best way possible in the time given. So what I want here is I want the chicken to get a little bit of colour, and that little bit of colour is going to flavour, well, that's what's going to flavour the stock as well. So the trick here is to get those chicken pieces just browning but don't burn the garlic. So just keep an eye out there, keep the chicken pieces moving a little. This is such a great way to make store-bought stock taste like super homemade. No one will even know. Okay, so see that golden brown color? That's the situation we're after. So now I'm going to go in with my flavorings. I've got some star anise, some soy sauce, and some dark soy sauce. And I love the dark soy sauce here because it gives the soup a really rich, deep, dark color, which kind of fools you into thinking that it's been simmered for hours. And now our good old store-bought chicken stock. I mean, if you have homemade, obviously go ahead and use that too. And now I want a little dash of sugar here as well, and that's going to balance out the salty flavors and create a really beautiful roundness in terms of flavor for the soup. Trust me, you could leave it out if you wanted to, but I do find it just adds an extra kind of complexity. Now bring this up to a little bubble and just let it simmer away for 30 minutes. So in the meantime, let's get the rest of our stuff ready for our soup bowls. So the first thing I want to do is prep my noodles, and you might think this is a bit weird because we're going to cook the noodles in boiling water later, so what do we need to do with the noodles now? Well, I find with these type of dried rice stick noodles, they really benefit from some soaking before you go and cook them in the hot water. And what that does is it leaves the noodles with a chewier texture because I guess some of that starch must come out in the water as it soaks. And seeing as we're going to wait for our stock anyway, you may as well go ahead and soak your noodles. And that's just room temperature water, and you'll see a bit later on that they soften up quite a bit. Now the other thing I want here is some nice little bites of greenery. So I've got some choy sum here, but you could use pak choy, you could use bok choy, you could use broccolini, broccoli, whatever kind of green that you've got handy at home. Just a little bite-sized chunk. And some herbs. And I love that you can really add like such a great kick of fresh flavor and like make things extra special just with a few little extra herbs. So I'm going to use some coriander and some spring onion. And now all we have to do is wait for that broth to do its thing. Oh, this is smelling so amazing right now. Now I have been skimming just lightly the top of that soup as it's been simmering away. And I'll just do one final little lift off here. And now chicken drumsticks, I want to save those for my soup bowl. Now let's strain that broth. Look at that colour, oh, amazing. Now let's keep that soup broth nice and hot. Now this isn't optional, but I love having Asian meatballs in my noodle soup, so I've got some pork balls here to add in. I mean, you could make your own and just kind of like make little pork meatballs and pop them in there as well, or just leave it with the chicken. Keeping it simple is just fine. The one thing you must do is check for seasoning. So as always, I mean, you know, starting out with different types of chicken broth, whether it's homemade or store-bought, they could all affect the amount of salt and savouriness in the soup. So that's why you always got to check. Ooh, that is very close. Oh, that's good. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of fish sauce for my liking. Just a couple of spoonfuls. I also like to serve some fish sauce at the end at the table. People can add their own. All right, let's get the rest of our noodle bowl ready. So have a look at our dried rice stick noodles. They're now sort of soft and pliable. So I want a good handful of those. I like to do this individually. I know it's like kind of street cart style, but I find you just get the right amount of bounce in the noodle, the right amount of cooking for the vegetable, you know, if you just do it individually. So noodles, a little bit of greenery, and some bean shoots. Now I've got some water boiling here. And the trick to keeping your noodles really nice and bouncy rather than kind of like flat and soggy is to do this like super quick, and I'm talking matter of seconds. So your scoop of stuff goes in, kind of jiggle it around with your tongs, and I don't know, what are we counting? 5 seconds, 10 seconds, maybe a little longer. Just until those noodles are tender. Scoop that into your bowl. Now we want one of our drumsticks in here, and that's the other great thing about using drumsticks. We can just get it straight out into the bowl. Don't have to shred the meat or anything. Good handful of our spring onion and coriander. A few of our pork balls. And then here comes that glorious soup. Final little adjustments here. Some Thai basil. These are kind of optional, but I like to kind of add these bits and pieces at the end. And of course, a little bit of chili powder for me, guys. And there you go. Noodle soup, woe to go in like less than 45 minutes, and wait till you try this soup. I mean, the flavor is so incredible for something that we've done so quickly. Can't wait to get in there. Steaming bowl of soup, noodle soup. There is like nothing better in this world. Chewy noodles. Wow. Honestly, every time I make this soup, I just am always amazed. It's like one of my go-to noodle soups at home, because the flavor, I mean, it's so complex. You get like this beautiful, you can taste the beautiful background of that star anise and the kind of background heat from the pepper, and then you get that salty savouriness and the chickeny, like it tastes like it's been simmering for hours, honestly. I mean, this is really one to get excited about. Okay, so making laksa paste from scratch is a very admirable thing to do, and something I like doing as well, actually, and I've got a video on how to do exactly that if you want to check it out. but we don't always have the time in life to be doing the things we want to be doing. Doesn't mean we have to miss out though, because this cheats laksa, can I say, really works out a treat. And you don't have to go and get a whole bunch of special ingredients. All right, so let's get started on how we make this magical thing happen. I'm going to start off with a little bit of oil in my pot. And if you can find a laksa paste at your regular supermarket, or you've got one in the cupboard, that's great. I often find they're a little bit more difficult to get a hold of than Thai red curry paste. So I'm actually going to use red curry paste as my base here. There are a lot of similar ingredients in a Thai red curry paste and a laksa paste, a lot of different ones too, but it will work out in the end, trust me. Okay, so you just want the curry paste to kind of sizzle and bloom away in that oil. And that curry paste is also going to stain that oil a really beautiful deep red color, which to me is one of the beautiful things of a bowl of laksa, is that little sheen of oil on the top. And now the key ingredient here that's going to transform our Thai curry paste into more of a laksa flavor is some curry powder. So I'm going to add that in. Okay, I'm going to put some chicken in here as well, and I'm doing some chicken thigh because I do like that extra little layer of fat that comes with some chicken thigh, but you could totally do breast here as well. Now add in some coconut milk. This is already smelling delicious. Oh, I love that sunshine yellow color. You know, even the cheats version can make you happy. Now let's also add some chicken stock. Just store-bought is fine. We're not trying to be a hero today. We're just trying to get things done quickly, but still nicely, but quickly. All right, add that in. And I just want to give this 5 minutes for the chicken to kind of cook and release some of its chickeny juices into the broth, and for all of those aromatics and flavors to really make friends in there. So this is smelling really lovely right now. These next few additions depend on what you have available to you. So you can totally just go with the chicken. I like to add a few extra bits and pieces. I'm going to add some prawns in here. And for me, a laksa, even the cheats version, has to have fish balls. So I know a lot of you are not going to be able to get a hold of fish balls, so you can totally leave these out, but if you can, it would be good to add them in. Now the other non-negotiable for me is puffy fried tofu. I always keep this in my fridge because I love to add it to soups, but obviously, again, you don't need to. Now just wait for those prawns to cook, a couple of minutes. And now here is where we do the all-important final seasoning. Always with any kind of Asian noodle soup or curry or laksa, in this case laksa, it's the final seasoning that I think is really important. Oh, I love that. That little kick of curry powder is so good. Does need some fish sauce. And a little dash of sugar here. And then just a couple of dashes of salt as well. Let's see. One more pinch of salt. Yes, and now we have it. So we have a really curry powder forward kind of flavor, because that's the more laksa flavor, if you like, well, curry laksa anyway. That's the flavor I want. And then just in the background we have the heat from the chilies and the curry paste, and then just a few of those aromatics that I can taste there, but definitely tastes like curry laksa, not like red curry. Magic. Okay, so with the noodles, you can really choose your own adventure here. Rice vermicelli is great, egg noodles. I just happen to have some of these ramen noodles in my fridge, you know, the pre-packaged ones. So that's what I'm going with today. And make sure you get a mix of your proteins here. I love that here in Asia, we love to mix our proteins. So we want some fish balls and some tofu. That fluffy tofu like soaks up all the soupy liquid. It's so good, such a good addition. And I want some chicken and some prawns. And now for that beautiful magical broth that we've made. Final additions, little boiled egg, some bean shoots, and a little sprinkling of coriander. And there you go, guys, laksa, and a damn tasty one at that, in like 15 minutes. Winning, totally winning. And now I'm winning because I get to try it. I mean, it tastes like you've been simmering it for hours. Oh, see, I'm so practiced. Not even a splash. I really should put that on my resume. Can eat noodles without getting too messy. Most of the time. Yum. Okay, so bibimbap is one of those great things to have in a restaurant where all these little separate bits and pieces have been lovingly cooked for you by about 1 million chefs out the back. But when you're at home, there's only one chef, and that's you. So we're going to make a really easy version of this that doesn't involve making a whole bunch of different little bits and pieces. Just a couple of bits and pieces. All right, so let's get started making our finishing sauce first of all. So I'm going to use some of this Korean gochujang paste. So this is a fermented chili paste. You can find it in most mainstream grocery stores now, or check it out online. I want a fairly big scoop full of that because I'm going to be doubling up here with both sauces that we're making for this dish because it's easier. So this finishing sauce is also going to be added to our marinade. Now to that I'm going to add some mirin, some soy sauce, some sugar, and some sesame seeds. Just mix that together. It's a little stubborn to start with, but it'll loosen up soon. All right, that's looking good, and such an easy little sauce to put together, but ooh, it has some kick and it is tasty, my friends. Yum. And now for the beef. So I recommend using a tender cut of beef here. There's nothing worse than trying to dig into a bowl of bibimbap with some chopsticks, i.e. not a knife, and having a really tough piece of meat. So I'm using ribeye, you could use fillet, even rump steak is pretty good here as well. Now, I like to slice on the diagonal here because that tends to make things a little bit more tender. Keeping this a little chunkier than I normally would for a stir fry. I just want some really hearty, decent chunks of beef here. Pop that beef into a bowl. And now for our second sauce, which is going to double as marinade and stir fry sauce, we just want some soy sauce, mirin, sesame oil, and then the rest of those sesame seeds. Okay, so let's go back to our spicy red sauce, and I want a couple of spoonfuls of that on my beef. And then a couple of spoonfuls of our soy sauce mixture, just enough to kind of flavor that beef. The rest I'm going to use later, and then just mix that through. Now, no need to leave that beef for any longer than a couple of minutes. We're doing the easy version here, of course. So I'm going to add a little bit of oil straight into a wok. And before I put my beef in, I'm going to add some garlic. And I'm going to grate in some ginger. And then in goes my beef. Straight away you want to spread that beef out in the pan so as much of it comes into contact with some heat as possible. Now, I like to leave the beef at this point just for about half a minute here to let some of that colour start to develop. And now we just stir fry until that beef is cooked. Now it's really important that we don't overcook the beef here because that's when we're going to run into some tough, hard bits of meat. This is just barely cooked. And I'm going to get that beef straight out onto a plate. And now you should have a delicious pool of sauce in the bottom of your pan. Do not waste that. Let's pour that straight over the beef. And now the vegetables. So don't be a hero here, guys. Just pick up a whole bunch of sliced veggies that you've got at your local supermarket. I just got some carrot here. You can get sliced mushrooms usually. Opened up a bag of baby spinach. And of course, my local supermarket, even though I live in Thailand, didn't even have bean shoots today. So I picked up some of these beautiful green pea shoots. Doesn't really matter, whatever floats your boat. Okay, so back in the wok, I'm not even gonna bother cleaning this guy. Just gonna get some oil straight in. And then my mushrooms go in. And my carrot. Now the baby spinach. It looks like a lot, but of course it'll wilt down. And I just love the fact that you can throw in a whole bunch of vegetables here and really feel quite virtuous about your dinner, which is always good. Now in goes the rest of that stir fry sauce. I love that smell of the sesame oil as it hits the pan. Beautiful. Now for some of those pea shoots. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so just take yourself a bowl of rice. You could use microwave rice or even get some delivered and add an egg on top. Some of that veg. You want some crunchy cucumber. I just love that kind of fresh crunch there. Some of that beef. Some kimchi. Definitely something that I always keep in the fridge because wow, the flavor and it packs a punch. Love it. And then some of our spicy red sauce. Wow, and just take a look at that bowl. If that's not a thing of beauty, I don't know what is. You've got beautiful vegetables, that beef, that egg. Let's have a look. I like to give everything a mix. That way I get kind of the ideal mouthful with every bite. Oh, I'm so looking forward to this. Wow, I am so loving that. I mean, it tastes like you're sitting in a Korean restaurant, but a lot easier to make than the restaurant version.